Dear students, welcome to all of you for this class today, grammar class. Usually, we all of us are conscious about our physical appearance. We want to be presentable to the people. Imagine when you are going for maybe the parties or marriages or fair, jatra, etc. You see how you go. The way you dress, for example. You want to be attractive, good dress you wear, the style, hairstyle for example, ornaments that you wear. Also, you apply little powder, lipstick, or say kajal, whatever. Why? Because you want to be presentable to the people. So this is about physical appearance of us. We are worried about, we are conscious about our physical appearance. What about the language? Language also is like that only. When we speak, when we communicate English, you can be very, very, very ordinary. Ordinary. In other words, unpresentable. Ordinary language you can speak, or you can speak extraordinary language. You can speak in an ineffective manner, but you can also speak in an effective manner. You can speak in a disinterested manner, but you can put a lot of interest to them. Sentences can be more interesting, more powerful. Therefore, in order to communicate in a very effective manner, in an extraordinary way, we make the use of figures of speech. In other words, you can ask how the writers, poets make that poem very interesting, very attractive. They simply use figures of speech here and there. ನಾವೆಲ್ಲ ಅಲಂಕಾರ ಪ್ರಿಯರು. ನಮ್ಮ ದೇಹವನ್ನು ನಾವು ಹೇಗೆ ಅಲಂಕರಿಸ್ತೇವೆ ಹಾಗೆಯೇ ಭಾಷೆಯೂ ಕೂಡ ಒಂದು ಅಲಂಕಾರ ಬೇಕು. ಪೌಡರ್ ಬೇಕು, ಲಿಪ್ಸ್ಟಿಕ್ ಬೇಕು, ಆರ್ನಮೆಂಟ್ಸ್ ಬೇಕು. ಅದು ನಾವು ಲ್ಯಾಂಗ್ವೇಜಲ್ಲಿ ಹೇಗೆ ಮಾಡ್ತೇವೆ ಎಂಬುದನ್ನು ತಿಳಿಸುವುದೇ ಆಗಿದೆ ಫಿಗರ್ಸ್ ಆಫ್ ಸ್ಪೀಚ್. Now, let us go in examples. Some of the examples we will follow, then we will understand better. For example, first one, very easy one is alliteration. Alliteration. Why is it easy? Because it's very easy in the sense, she sings a song of sixpence. See that sentence? Immediately you will know. It is not a boring language, it is not dull language, it is very, very effective language. See, sir, the sound, the letter yes is repeated many a time. She sings a song of sixpence. She sings a song of sixpence beautifully. So therefore, whenever a letter or a sound, whenever repeated in a sentence oftener, that means you know immediately the poet, the writer is making use of some powder, lipstick, called alliteration. That's the decoration, alankara. Otherwise there is no much meaning in that. There is a poem, like for example, Dove, ಪಾರಿವಾಳದ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಒಂದು poem ಇದೆ. ಅದರಲ್ಲಿ ಕೂಡ poet ಹೇಳ್ತಾರೆ, I had a dove and the sweet dove died. ಅಂದರೆ ಅವನೊಂದು ಹೊರಗೆ ಹೋಗ್ತಾನೆ, ವೈಲ್ಡ್ ಫಾರೆಸ್ಟ್, there he found a ಪಾರಿವಾಳ, dove. He thinks ಅದು ಏಕಾಂತದಲ್ಲಿದೆ, ಪಾಪ ಒಬ್ಬಂಟಿಯಾಗಿದೆ, ನಾನು ತರೋಣ ಮನೆಗೆ ಅಂತೇಳಿ ತರ್ತಾನೆ. ತಂದು ಅದಕ್ಕೊಂದು ಕೇಜ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾನೆ, ಕೇಜ್ ಗೂಡು, ಅದರಲ್ಲಿ ಇಡ್ತಾನೆ. ಒಂದು ದಿನ ಅದು ಸತ್ತು ಹೋಗ್ತದೆ. ಎಷ್ಟೇ ಲಾಲನೆ ಪೋಷಣೆ ಮಾಡಿದ್ರು ಕೂಡ ಸತ್ತು ಹೋಗ್ತದೆ. ದಟ್ಸ್ ದ ಪೋಯಮ್. ಅಂಡ್ ಹಿ ಸ್ಟಾರ್ಟ್ಸ್ ದಟ್ ಪೋಯಮ್ ಲೈಕ್ ದಿಸ್, ಐ ಹ್ಯಾಡ್ ಎ ಡವ್ ಅಂಡ್ ದ ಸ್ವೀಟ್ ಡವ್ ಡೈಡ್. ಮುದ್ದಾದ, ಸ್ವೀಟ್ ಅಂದರೆ ಮುದ್ದಾದ ಪಾರಿವಾಳ ಸತ್ತು ಹೋಯಿತು. ನನ್ನಲ್ಲಿ ಒಂದು ಪಾರಿವಾಳ ಇತ್ತು, ಅದು ಸತ್ತು ಹೋಯಿತು. ಐ ಹ್ಯಾಡ್ ಎ ಡವ್ ಅಂಡ್ ದ ಸ್ವೀಟ್ ಡವ್ ಡೈಡ್. ವಾಟ್ಸ್ ದ ಸ್ಪೆಷಾಲಿಟಿ ಇನ್ ದಿಸ್ ಸೆಂಟೆನ್ಸ್? See that? He had a plan. The poet has a plan in that. He knows very well he should use alliteration there. I had a dove and the sweet dove died. You repeat it quite often. I had a dove and the sweet dove died. Da, 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 da. I had a dove and the sweet dove died. See, dance also you can make. You can dance well. So that is alliteration. She sells on the seashore. She sells on the seashore. See, sir. Betty bought some butter. The butter was bitter. So Betty bought some better butter to make the bitter butter better. See, ta 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 ta. So many things are there in literature, in poems. Therefore, whenever a sound or a letter is repeated oftener, that means the poet or a writer has made use of alliteration. Okay. Then second one, you see, in the same poem, dove poem, somewhere, I said the story, that dove dies. And he addresses that dead dove, and the poet says, "Sweet little red feet, why should you die? Sweet little red feet, why should you die?" Sweet little red feet. Sweet ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಮುದ್ದಾದ ಚಿಕ್ಕ ಪಾದಗಳೇ ಯಾಕೆ ನೀನು ಸತ್ತು ಹೋದಿ? What is the speciality in that sentence? A literature student will understand immediately there is something. Why should he use this red feet? He should have used what word? Dove. He could have used the word dove. Sweet little dove, why should you die? He did not use purposely because he wanted to use figures of speech, make it more attractive. He said red feet. Meaning, red feet means what therefore? Meaning dove. Dove is whole. Dove is whole. Red feet is only the part of the dove. Part of the dove, he says, but actually he says part, red feet. But he means what? Whole dove. So that is the technique. So whenever we say the part, but we mean the whole thing, say the part, but mean the whole thing, we are using figures of speech called synecdoche. It is not synecdoche, synecdoche. So synecdoche is nothing but you say the part, but you mean the whole. Also vice versa. Vice versa means opposite. You say the whole, but you mean the part. You say the whole, but you mean the part. For example, cricket match. India won the cricket match, we say. India won the cricket match. What's the speciality? Speciality is there. We are using what? Synecdoche. India won the cricket match. When you say, what's the meaning? India. How many people are there? 130 crores of people. Do you think 130 crores played the cricket match?
Team India.
Only a team, 11 members played. So when I say India won the cricket match, you are saying whole thing India, but you mean part 11. Without knowing, we make use of this, without knowing, but we must know, when we say that sentence, we are making use of synecdoche. Without knowing, even the conductor has used synecdoche on me. He doesn't know that he is using synecdoche, but he uses day-to-day life. He use this language like this. One day I was going by bus like that. Many people rushed there was, and the conductor was in the front. I was wearing a red shirt that day. Then he was calling, "Red shirt, munde banni. Red shirt, munde banni." What did he mean? Red shirt, munde banni. He meant red shirt ಧರಿಸಿದ ಇಡೀ ವ್ಯಕ್ತಿ ಮುಂದೆ ಬಾ. But he did not say that. He said simply red shirt. He made use of the part. He made use of the part called shirt, but he meant in the mind whole person. Therefore, without our knowledge, we use synecdoche here and there.
Yes.
So this is what about synecdoche. Now next is simile. I think I am making myself clear to you. Simile. Simile is nothing but comparing. We compare one thing with another, one person with another, etc. To say Bhima is a brave person. Bhima is a brave person. To say that is ordinary language. Very ordinary. No, we want to be extraordinary. We want to make it powerful language. How? Bhima fought like a lion. See? You bring the lion there. Another picture, figure, lion. Bhima was brave to say is very ordinary. But Bhima fought like a lion. Which is more effective? This sentence is more effective than to say Bhima was brave. That's why ordinary, no, extraordinary language. So Bhima fought like a lion. Sometimes this word comes like. Also there are sometimes as. This also possible. There is a mango. Mango is as sweet as honey. Jenaduppa. Mango is there as sweet as. So as ಬಳಸಿದಾಗ ಕೂಡ ಅದು like means comparing. Mango is compared with honey. So like that it is. Sometimes it could be so sweet as also, so sweet. So big as or so as. This mango is so big as coconut, I can say. Or as. So therefore whatever the word you use, like or as, both are comparing. We are comparing one thing with another. So that's called simile. S-I-M-I-L-E. It is not similar, it is simile. The next is metaphor. Now, metaphor is one step ahead to simile. If you know simile, you'll understand metaphor better. Look at this in Bhima, same sentence we use. Bhima was a lion in the battle. See. Did you make the difference here? Bhima fought like a lion is there. Like a lion, we have said. What's the difference we have made here? Bhima was a lion in the battle. We have not used like. We are not compared with another. But rather we have made Bhima a lion. That's all. Bhima is like a lion. No. Here in metaphor, Bhima is lion. See, it's a very effective language it is. To say Bhima is like a lion, okay. Bhima is a lion means immediately you get thrilled. Bhima is a lion. But mind you, you know very well, those who are intellectual students like you know, can Bhima be a lion? Can Bhima be a lion? Bhima is Bhima. Bhima is a person, man. He is not a lion. Then what this is making like this? To make it more effective, that's all. Therefore, see, metaphor is called also by another name. It's an implied simile. Metaphor is implied simile. ಸಿಮಿಲಿಯು ಮೆಟಫರ್ನೊಳಗೆ ಅಡಗಿ ಕೂತಿದೆ. ಅಂದರೆ ಏನರ್ಥ, ಇಲ್ಲಿ ನಾವು ಹೇಳುವಾಗ ಮಾತನಾಡುವಾಗ ಈ ಸೆಂಟೆನ್ಸು ಭೀಮ ವಾಸ್ ಅ ಲಯನ್, ನಮ್ಮ ಮೈಂಡಲ್ಲಿ ಏನಿದೆ ಅಂದರೆ, ಮೈಂಡಲ್ಲಿ ಸಿಮಿಲಿ ಇದೆ. ಭೀಮನು ಸಿಂಹದ ಹಾಗೆ ಅಂತ ಮೈಂಡಲ್ಲಿದೆ, ಸಿಮಿಲಿ ಇದೆ ಮೈಂಡಲ್ಲಿ. ಬಟ್ ಹೇಳುವಾಗ ನಾವು ಹಾಗೆ ಹೇಳಲ್ಲ, ಭೀಮನೇ ನಾವು ಲಯನ್ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ತೀವಿ ಅಷ್ಟೇ. ದಟ್ಸ್ ವೈ ಮೆಟಫರ್ನೊಳಗೆ ಸಿಮಿಲಿಯು ಅಡಗಿದೆ. That's why we call in grammar implied simile is metaphor, or metaphor is nothing but implied simile. So simile is implied inside the metaphor. So this is how we make metaphor. Youth are the salt of the nation. Youth are the salt of the nation. ಏನಪ್ಪ ಇದು? ಯುವಕರು ದೇಶದ ಉಪ್ಪು. ಅರೆ ಯುವಕರಿಗೆ ಉಪ್ಪು ಆಗೋದು? ಯುವಕರು ಉಪ್ಪು. ಅದು ಆಕ್ಚುಲಿ ವಾಟ್ ಯು ಮಸ್ಟ್ ಸೇ, youth are like the salt of the nation. But we don't say like that. To make it more effective, we say youth are the salt of the nation. Camel is the ship of the desert. No, camel is the ship of the desert. It's a metaphor. Actually what we are saying in the mind, camel is like the ship of the desert, because camel cannot be ship. But in metaphor we can make it that way. So this is the meaning behind metaphor. Then we have personification. The word itself says person. ಅಂದರೆ ವ್ಯಕ್ತಿ. ವ್ಯಕ್ತಿಗೆ ಜೀವ ಇದೆ. ಜೀವ ಇರುವ ಒಂದು ಪ್ರಾಣಿ ಇರ್ಬೋದು, ವ್ಯಕ್ತಿ ಇರ್ಬೋದು. ಈಗ ಈ ಚೇರಿಗೆ ಜೀವ ಇಲ್ಲ, ನಾನು ಚೇರಿಗೆ ಜೀವ ಕೊಟ್ಟು ಮಾತಾಡ್ಬೋದು. ದಟ್ಸ್ ದ ಸ್ಪೆಷಲ್ ಟೆಕ್ನಿಕ್ ಯೂಸ್ಡ್ ಬೈ ಪೋಯಿಟ್ಸ್ ಅಂಡ್ ರೈಟರ್ಸ್. ನಾನು ಹೇಳ್ಬೋದು, ಚೇರ್ ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಬಾ, ಚೇರಿಗೆ ಬರ್ತದೆ ನನ್ನಲ್ಲಿ. ಬಟ್ ಪೋಯೆಟ್ ಆಗಿ ನಾನು ಬಳಸ್ಬೋದು, ಚೇರ್ ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಬಾ, ಬರ್ಲಿಕ್ಕೆ ಕಾಲು ಉಂಟು ಅದಕ್ಕೆ. ಪೋಯೆಟ್ ಕ್ಯಾನ್ ಗಿವ್ ಲೆಗ್ಸ್ ಟು ದಿ ಚೇರ್. ದಟ್ ಮೀನ್ಸ್ ನಾನ್ ಲಿವಿಂಗ್ ಥಿಂಗ್ಸ್, ನಾನ್ ಲಿವಿಂಗ್. ಸೊ personification is nothing but giving or making attributes of the living things to the non-living. Inanimate objects we make animate. Lifeless things we give life. That's all. So that's the technique used in the sentences. For example, here the lightning danced across the sky. the lightning danced across the sky. Dance ಯಾರು ಮಾಡೋದು? ಹ್ಯೂಮನ್ ಬೀಯಿಂಗ್ಸ್ ಡಾನ್ಸ್. ಇದು ಲೈಟ್ನಿಂಗ್ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಏನು? ಲೈಟ್ನಿಂಗ್ ಮಿಂಚು. ಮಿಂಚು ಹೇಗೆ ಡ್ಯಾನ್ಸ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾರಪ್ಪ? ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ಕಾಲು ಉಂಟಾ, ಕೈ ಉಂಟಾ? ಏನು? ಬಟ್ ಯು ಸಿ ಪೋಯಟ್ ಸೀಸ್ ದ ಮಿಂಚು ಹೀಗೆ ಹೀಗೆ ಆಗುವಂಥದ್ದು ನೋಡ್ತಾನೆ, ಅದು ಡ್ಯಾನ್ಸ್ ಮಾಡ್ತದಂತ. ಡ್ಯಾನ್ಸಿಂಗ್ ಕೆಪಾಸಿಟಿ ಓನ್ಲಿ ವಿತ್ ದ ಪೀಪಲ್, human person. Minchu, lightning doesn't have life, but he can make into a living thing, and he can make the lightning dance. Poet. So the lightning danced across the sky, beautifully expressed. And also the wind howled in the night. See the effect there. ನನಗೆ ರಾತ್ರಿ ಮಲಗಿದಾಗ ಹೌಲಿಂಗ್ ಅಂದರೆ ಬಗಳೋದು. ನಾಯಿ ಬಗಳಿದ್ರೆ ಹೆದರಿಕಾಗ್ತದೆ ನಮಗೆ. ಅಯ್ಯೋ ಏನೋ ನಾಯಿ ಬಂತು. ವಿಂಡ್ ಗಾಳಿ ಹೇಗೆ ಬಗಳೋದು? ನಾಯಿ ಬಗಳಬಹುದು, ಜೀವ ಇರುವ ನಾಯಿ ಬಗಳ್ತದೆ. ವಿಂಡ್ ಹೇಗೆ ಬಗಳೋದು? ಬಟ್ ಪೋಯಟ್ ಕ್ಯಾನ್ ಮೇಕ್ ಇಟ್ ಇಫೆಕ್ಟ್. ನೋಡಿ, ವಿಂಡ್ ವಾಸ್ ಬ್ಲೋಯಿಂಗ್ ಸ್ಟ್ರಾಂಗ್ಲಿ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿದ್ರೆ ಏನು ಆರ್ಡಿನರಿ ಲ್ಯಾಂಗ್ವೇಜ್ ಅದಪ್ಪ. ವಿಂಡ್ ವಾಸ್ ಬ್ಲೋಯಿಂಗ್ ಸ್ಟ್ರಾಂಗ್ ವಿಂಡ್. ಏನು ಸ್ಟ್ರಾಂಗ್ ವಿಂಡ್? ನೋ, ಹಿ ಸೇಸ್ ದ ವಿಂಡ್ ಹೌಲ್ಡ್ ಇನ್ ದ ನೈಟ್. ರಾತ್ರಿಯಲ್ಲಿ ಗಾಳಿಯು ಬಗಳಿತು, ಆಗ ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ಇಫೆಕ್ಟ್ ಜಾಸ್ತಿ ಇದೆ. So this is how we make the figures of speech and we make use of them in the language. If any doubts, you can clarify with me.
The last one, as you said that comparing living things to non-living, non-living things to living things, and we say one Kannada saying is that therefore Ravi Kanadanu Kavi Kanda. So that the poet can give lot of imaginary ideas that we cannot see that, but his own language is different.
Yeah.
So that is an example.
Most of the time these are used in the poems.
Yeah.
That's why we have every poem and appreciation. At the end, appreciation we have. Appreciating means the poet goes beyond the natural things. He goes into a philosophical thing to mention. So, ಈಗ ನಮ್ಮ ಭಾರತ ದೇಶ, he can make that into a woman. No? ನೀಲಿ ಆಕಾಶ. He can say nature is wearing a sari. So like that. So beautifully they explain. ನೀಲಿ ಆಕಾಶ, ನೀಲಿ ಇದೆ ಅದು, ಸಾರಿ ಉಟ್ಕೊಳ್ಳೋದು, that to a woman. So like this, non-living thing can be made into living thing. So this is how we go about, we understand about the figures of speech in our English language. So if you want to write down certain things, you can write down. Maybe one example for this you can also write down. For example, if I say she is like Aishwarya Rai. She is like Aishwarya Rai. What figure of speech? See, like that. Then sheep should sleep in the shed. Sheep should sleep in the shed. Immediately you know. Sure. Alliteration. Please check at my wheels. Please check at my wheels.
Yes.
You may not know that. Wheels means car. Wheels means car.
Yes.
You don't say car, we say wheel.
Wheel, yeah.
Check out my wheels means check out my car. What have I used?
Symptom.
Synecdoche. I use synecdoche. Then also metaphor, no?
Yeah.
For metaphor you can say
Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel is an Iron Man.
Sardar
Vallabhbhai Patel called as an Iron Man.
Iron Man.
Of
See,
India.
Iron Man of India. See, metaphor it is. So any other thing? I think this is sufficient. We'll deal with in the next class about more examples and drill work. Thank you very much.